Man, I started, Can I Borrow a Dollar tour. People on Facebook, man, they ain't downloaded. CD owns $1. The book is only $1. But yet they want me to continue to do 2 minutes of change, man. I'm sick of this campaign, man. I'm sick of it, man. I ain't doing nothing. I try to get something for $1 and so on going on.
Man, what's the deal, man? You still doing 2 minutes and some change or what?
I guess I am, man. Run it.
The time is right, the rhyme is right. For the rest of my life, focused insight will be about the preservation of life in Christ. The word feed my appetite to keep me pushing what was right in the contradictive life.
What's up, y'all? This is Vigalantee for reasonforrhymes.com. That's reason, the number 4rhymes.com. Also, 2 minutes and some change, and now massappealnews.com. Yeah, what's going on, people? Man, there's a lot of things I want to talk about. We got a lot of things to cover. I'm back in business, y'all. Hey, I'm back fresh off of the Can I Borrow a Dollar tour. You know what I'm saying? I've made everything $1, so you got no excuse but to pick me up. If not, that's okay. It's just $1. Let's get to the business. Jordan Davis. Y'all know y'all heard the story. People got many takes on it, but I never gave my take on it. I'm the same guy that did the song about Trayvon Martin. You playing loud music, and you have a disagreement, and then all of a sudden, somebody get killed over that disagreement. This is crazy. Whether you want to say it's racism or whatever you want to say it is, doesn't matter to me. It's stupid. Another young teenager dead, just gone over silliness. Now, some people say, hey, black people kill each other all the time. You know what? And I'm on that too. That's why they call me vigilante. I'm on that too, but I'm on this right now. This is becoming a pattern. And right now, we better bring ourselves back together, America, back together, because we're brewing close to a race war. So as I go into thinking about more things, I think about the Zimmerman case with Trayvon Martin. As like I said before, that we're brewing on a race war. And we have our own problem within our own race, the black on black crime. Trust me, we see it, and it needs to be dealt with. I said that. Obama, you need to deal with that. Community leaders, we need to deal with that and really treat it like it's an epidemic, because it is, because we're losing a lot of kids, especially in Chicago. And with the Zimmerman case, some pictures are coming out now. It just will not go away. They're fighting for, I guess, Zimmerman. But at the end of the day, whether it was a fight or whatever, another young man lost their life. And I've seen some of the blogs on Your Black World and SOHH.com about some of the people writing and saying that, hey, it don't matter if he's white or not. You're right. It don't matter if he's white or not. It's a matter that a young teenager is gone. It could have been your son or your daughter or something like that. We got to be more careful. And with the Zimmerman case, hey, man, it's a lot of things going on that I hope we ain't forgot about. Everybody, remember months ago when everybody had the hoods on? Everybody was representing Trayvon Martin. I am Trayvon Martin. Where's that at now? Rappers, are you helping the Martin family out with their defense form? You're popping bottles and all that. What are you doing? Are you even paying attention? Or we're being trained to always be like a fad. Whatever the next passing thing is, we follow, we represent. But at the end of the day, we do no follow-up. I'm sick of that. And you know what? For all the bandwagon rappers that claim they was down with that, y'all get a smack for that. That leads me to Chief Keef. This saga about what happened to little JoJo is starting to get a little legs a little bit. JoJo's mother was on BET on the TJ Holmes show, and she was talking about she don't believe that Chief Keef killed him, but may have paid somebody to have her son killed. If that's the case, that is sad. I hope to God that's not true. I hope that it was just a bunch of boys talking and something got out of hand. I hope so. Man, it don't make sense. We're in music, y'all. This is the music business, and you got certain things you portray. Then what happens is when people cannot understand that it's music and mix gang life and stuff with it and represent murder and stuff, you get all kinds of question marks. So, Chief Keef, I'm hoping that that's not you, bro. I hope that you understand and you learn from your mistake. You're young, too. You're not young and murdered, but you're young with an opportunity to be murdered in this world if you keep portraying the things that you're portraying, bro. It's time to be blessed that you are. It's a blessing that you're doing your music and some of your dreams are coming true and you're coming out the hood and you're doing your thing. You know what I'm saying? But we got to grow up, man. Chicago and all inner cities got to wake up. We got to stop killing each other. That's the thing. We got to stop killing each other. I say this all the time. That's what the change is about. We have to change our mindset. What good is we celebrating Obama getting another 4 years and we still doing the same thing? The unemployment is high for blacks. It's high. It's at an all-time high, even though the business people are making money. We're losing people as a whole. We must get educated. We must wake up. And superstars, you must stop getting yourself in trouble, which leads me to the case in the special segment that we're going to do today with Wayne Hodges. What's going on, y'all? Once again, you're back on 2 minutes and some change. And this time we're talking about a real tragedy that happened last weekend, with the Kansas City Chief football player. And I brought Wayne Hodges of Mass Appeal News to kind of give you more insight about this tragic case.
Hey, it's a terrible story. I mean, Javon Belcher, linebacker with the Kansas City Chiefs, last Friday, November the 30th. It's just strange. He went to a club with a young lady, and his girlfriend went to a concert, Trey Songz concert. Mm-hmm. And about 8 hours later, he shot her. Shot her 9 times, killed her. Just a tragic story, and just, hey man, I don't know what to say. This is just a travesty. Just a travesty.
So, what is your perspective on it? I mean, I know it's a tragedy.
Yeah.
Do you think that it was an act of passion, or was it just being intoxicated, or what? Because you're hearing all kinds of stories coming out, but we really don't know. I listened to sports radio. I heard Jason Whitlock's report about things. It's spawning into something now in Kansas City. I don't know if the national people know this about gun control. So what do you think is, when you first heard it, what did you think?
Well, the media is trying to paint him out to be a monster. But what people have to understand is that when you're dealing with a player in the National Football League, you're dealing with issues with concussions, brain trauma. He was popping prescription drugs. I mean, there's a lot of issues here. So to oversimplify it, I think would be a big mistake. And that's what the media is doing. And, I mean, you can't do that in this case. I mean, he could have, look, he shot her 9 times at point-blank range. So, I mean, he's a killer. But what about the circumstances that led him to that state? And I think that's something that needs to be addressed. Was it concussions? Was it post-concussion syndrome? Was it drugs? And I'm talking about prescription drugs. Yeah. I mean, what was the factor? And I think that's something we need to find out.
I just think about the young lady, man, that comes from a concert, and they got the young child, and
22 years old.
22 years old, got so much to live for, and no matter what happens, she wasn't playing football. She don't have that. She didn't deserve that.
I mean, 22 years old. Cassie Perkins, Cassandra Perkins is her legal name, and the couple had a 3-month-old baby, Zoe, and I mean, it's crazy. And here's the thing: they couldn't have been a couple because, for starters, she went to the concert, and at the same time, he went to the Power and Light District with a woman by the name of Brittany Glass. So he's with another woman. And after the concert, Cassie went home. And this was around about 1 o'clock in the morning. And she had some cocktails, probably a few drinks with some friends. And then she went home. Belcher went back to Brittany Glass's house. And he took her home. And then when he dropped her off, Brittany Glass was expecting him to go back home. But he sat in his car and he blacked out. I don't know if he was drunk or whatever, but he blacked out. So around 3 in the morning, the police were called because the neighbors got nervous, and they said, okay, we got a suspicious car sitting out here. So the police came out and said, they knocked on his window. I mean, he's in the car, just blacked out. So they knocked on his window. He wakes up, and the police are like, we got a call, and you can't just sit out here. What are you doing? So Belcher told the police, I'm waiting for my friend to come back out. So the police said, okay, well, you need to either call her or you need to leave. So he calls the girl, but she didn't answer. So here's the thing. Belcher called another woman in the apartment building. And this was the 700 block of Armour.
Okay.
Which is a pretty rough neighborhood. I mean,
Yes, it
you
is.
got some lofts, and this is downtown Kansas City. He calls another woman in the same building, and the other woman comes down and lets him in.
Uh-huh.
So the other woman had a roommate. So he spent the night with 2 women that night. This is 3 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
And he tells the 2 women, after practice the next day, can you please wake me up around 6:30? He had to practice the next day at 9:30.
Exactly.
So he spends the night, and at 6:30 he gets up. They wake him up, and he goes back home to his home. I believe it's the 5400 block of Chrysler, or maybe the 5900 block of Chrysler, where he lives with Cassie Perkins, his girlfriend. So he goes home at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm just going to assume they got into a big fight because he was coming home at 7 for one.
Yeah.
And the only thing we know between what was said during the argument, and this is what his mother testified to, he says something to the effect of, "You're not going to talk to me that way." About 10 seconds later, 9 shots were fired. Let me just say it. And after the 9 shots were fired, the mother came into the room, and she saw Belcher, and he shot her 9 times, and she saw Belcher leaning over, kissing her on the forehead. So he kisses her, and then he goes and kisses his baby. And then he tells his mother, "Mom, I'm really sorry, but I can't stay here." So he gets in his car and he drives to Arrowhead Stadium, his place of employment. And when he gets to Arrowhead Stadium, he arrives right before General Manager Scott Pioli gets there.
Okay.
And so he's walking up to the door. When I say he, I'm talking about Belcher. And Pioli gets out of his car and sees him walking up to the door. So Belcher turns around and sees Pioli. And he walks up to him and he says, "Sir, I just want to thank you for everything you've done for me, but I did it. I killed her." So Pioli's like, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "I killed her." And Pioli knew what he was talking about because the Chiefs had them in counseling. They were in counseling for months because they had a lot of problems with money, just a bunch of domestic issues. They were in counseling for about 2 or 3 months. But he told Pioli, "I finally did it, and I killed her." So Pioli's like devastated. But he said, "Sir, I just want to come up here and thank you." And he said, "Can you please call Romeo Cornell down here so I can thank him?" So Pioli's like, "Okay, I'll go ahead and call him." He called Romeo on his cell phone, and Romeo was in the building. And he didn't tell Romeo what happened. He couldn't because Belcher was right there. And understand, Belcher was standing there with a gun and with blood on his face because he kissed Cassie.
Yeah.
So he had blood on his face. So you got a man with a gun and blood on him. And Pioli called Cornell. Cornell came down. Cornell had no idea what was going on. Of course, when Cornell came down, he put 2 and 2 together. Yeah. And he saw the man bleeding, well, not bleeding, but had blood on him with a gun. And he told Cornell, first words he told him was, "Sir, I really want to thank you, but this has to be done." And Cornell, tried to talk him out of it. He's saying, "Hey, you can rebound from this. You can fight through this. Put the gun down, son. Put the gun down." He said, "No, I'm not going to do it. I can't do that." They tried to talk him down for about 10 minutes, and Belcher heard the police sirens. When the police pulled into the parking lot, they were, about to form a perimeter. Belcher saw that, so he ran behind his car, and then he shot himself. And just a horrible story. It was found out today that about 24 hours earlier, he had sent out some texts saying that I got 8 guns for her BFs. I'm just going to assume BF stands for boyfriends. They had some really serious problems. She had threatened to take him to court and sue him for child support. I found out today through research that he had a 1-year contract for this year, but he's not signed for next year. And understand, Belcher is a rookie free agent coming into the league, so when you're a rookie free agent, you make the league minimum, and that's still good money. Yeah. But you have nothing really guaranteed. So the team is 1-10 at this time. He's a rookie free agent struggling to get a contract, and he has a baby's mama basically telling him, "I've had it with you. I'm moving back to Texas," because she moved to Texas around Halloween. And then he talked her to coming back home around Thanksgiving, which is ironic because Belcher told a couple Chiefs players he can't even remember what he told her to get her back home. He has short memory loss. He had a concussion a couple of weeks ago against Cincinnati. So he didn't even know what he told her to get her to come back home.
Wow.
That is so what the media has to be careful about is that, okay, yes, it's a domestic case, but at the same time, you have a player who could be chronically injured. You have a player who could have been impaired mentally. And if he's suffering from short memory loss, you have some type of liability issues with the National Football League. Now, they don't want that.
They don't want that.
They don't want
I was
that.
about to say, that is, we definitely want you to finish this, but if you find out that, football, concussions has been a big discussion. They throw a flag in a second when you hit a quarterback. If you find it out with Junior Seau and some other players,
That's right.
that this is a problem, the NFL may be in trouble. But you
Right.
go ahead and finish this up.
Well, they want to paint him like he's crazy, and that's what they're doing. They went back and dug up his college records in Maine to make it look like he's a domestic psychopath. And at Maine, he punched a wall. He got mad at a woman and punched a wall. There was a police report on that. Didn't hit a woman, and there was another instance where I think he hit a window with his hand, cut his hand, got mad at a woman and punched a window. Of course, he didn't hit a woman, but still, a record of violence in the aftermath of whatever with a woman.
Yeah.
So they went and dug that up, and they're going to keep digging up stuff because the National Football League does not want any type of liability in this issue. The problem is he killed himself on their property.
Exactly.
That's where it gets a little bit tricky because you have to understand his mother could file a lawsuit because she witnessed not only the death of her, was not her daughter-in-law, but the death of her grandchild's mother, but also lost a son. And if there's any type of evidence, and right now they're running the autopsy and toxicology reports, if there's any type of evidence that he was in any way impaired mentally or even brain trauma, then that could be a big lawsuit against not only Kansas City Chiefs, but the National Football League. So this is going to get a little bit sticky, and we just have to see how it plays out. But right now they're painting him like he's just a loon.
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily sure that's the case. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a killer.
Yeah.
He shot the young lady 9 times at point-blank range.
Wow.
But what I'm concerned about is what pushed him over the edge. Not necessarily the act itself, because the act itself is despicable, but what pushed him over the edge, not only to bring closure to this case, but to prevent that with other players in the future. And it's going to happen again.
Yeah. Yeah. So there it is. We're dealing with a lot of things in this world. You go from the artists that you see to have a chance to better their life with people out there struggling, and they get caught up in murder case, drug case, and you got athletes. No one is exempt. It can happen to regular citizens. But what are we willing to do? The question I'll leave the audience with, what are we willing to do for entertainment? What are we willing to hide for entertainment? Those are the things I want you to think about, because, they played the football game, and I understand why they played it and stuff, but is it for the sake of the football game, or is it for the sake of that young woman that got murdered who didn't deserve to be murdered? And it's sad, and I think we need to wake up. That's what it's about. We really need to change how we do things, because what's happening is all this stuff is starting to unravel and be exposed. So my question to the audience is, what are you willing to do for entertainment? Are you willing to forget about everything, forget that the person is human, and forget that as long as they entertain you, we don't care? But if we don't start caring, we're going to start seeing this stuff happen all the time. This is Vigalantee for 2 minutes and some change. And reasonforrhymes.com. That's reason with the number 4, rhymes.com. And massappealnews.com. Peace.
The time is right, the rhyme is right for the rest of my life. Focused insight will be about the preservation of life in Christ. The word feed my appetite to keep me pushing what's right in the contradictive life.
This is Wayne Hodges with massappealnews.com with the latest and greatest of all things Kansas City. Please join us at massappealnews.com. Sign up for our free e-magazine and newsletter, and also check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Once again, this is Wayne Hodges with massappealnews.com. Also do a weekly radio show on KGG at 890 AM, and of course, great work with Vigalantee with his column with me, myself, and my opinion. Once again, Wayne Hodges, masculinenews.com. Check us out.
The time is right, the rhyme is right for the rest of my life. Focused insight will be about the preservation of life in Christ. The word feeds my appetite to keep me pushing what's right in the contradictive life. But I'm willing to fight, recite, ignite victory, reveal the mystery of our history. La Leyenda, the name from Vigalantee I came to change the game, rearrange the game, with or without fame. The devil wicked tame, put to shame.